Hey guys, so in this video we're going to be doing a string to integer on LeetCode, and I just wanted to show you the problem here. I got a lot of trash in the comments because I implemented a JavaScript function that's available, which is parse int, and that'll take a string and nothing but the numbers in it and parse it. It'll take negatives, it'll take everything in it. So the problem here is implement ATOI, which converts a string into an integer. So basically, I put some test cases down here. So here's a few different test cases. It includes white space, negatives, words before, words after, words outside of bounds for a 32-bit integer, a negative followed by some words, and so we want only ones with white space before. We don't want any with words before it, but we can do words after. So I want to do the solution that's easiest because it is a function that's available in JavaScript. So if you are looking for integers inside of a string of letters, the parse int function works very well, and I think LeetCode runs 1,000 some test cases against it, and each one it performs true, or it's spot on. So I think that one's fine for this. There are some cases where you would want to use regular expressions, and this is what I have in the pane here, but that's not the one that I did because I don't think it's as efficient as the parse int, and it's certainly not as easy. So that being said, in a job interview, they might want you to program this out using regular expressions, but when you're actually working on a problem, you're never going to sit down and try to reinvent the wheel, try to make something that's not going to work, and you're always going to run test cases in your job anyway to make sure that it's going to work. So you know, if your parse int fails in one of those situations, then you would have to reprogram it. But in a job, a company's not going to want you to waste their time, and that's exactly what I would say in an interview. If this came up, well, we don't want you to use this, and I would say, well, in the interest of time, if I were working for you or myself, it would be a waste of money and time to reinvent a function that's already available within the JavaScript library and is very universal. So here's some of the things we want. Output, basically, if it has words before, we want a 0, or if it has words and no decimals, we want a 0. So then if our numbers are outside of this 32-bit range, we want to return the least acceptable number or the maximum acceptable number. So I just wanted to show you guys this. I'm using part int once I isolate the strings here, and you can see it's pulling what it needs to. It doesn't pull that. And the regular expressions for this, we'd want to look for anything that has a hyphen and then a decimal, and that's basically just going to be, well, I trim the string down first to chop off any white space. And then if it matches a hyphen and a decimal, well, then we know it's a negative. So we're going to do that. And then else if it matches where the start, so we've already taken care of negatives. So this indicator here is start. So if it starts with a decimal, then we want it. And then we run the same check, and then anything else outside of that we don't want. So this is going to look for only decimals starting off, and that's what we want. Or if it starts with a hyphen followed by a decimal is what we want. So anything else should return 0, and then I just console log num, and you can see it here. I'm actually going to get rid of this. I will leave this in the file though. Actually, you know what? I'll comment this out, and it'll be in the GitHub for that. Actually, I'll get rid of it. I don't want it in here. But all of these test cases still work against the parse int. So let's write this out with what I think is the better solution. So I'm going to let num equal parse int, and we're going to take in the string here, and then we'll just console log num. So we have a few things. If it starts with words and 987, if it starts with a string, it's going to give us not a number. So if you are trying to get this decimal out, you would have to use a regular expression to get this. But since the challenge is to get just ones that start with a number, it makes sense to just use parse int. But there are a few instances where you want to do it, and you can also separate by numbers. So if you want to make sure that it has that it is a number, you could do this. So this will give us, so we just have to run a check here. If number class dot is nan, and then we'll pass in our num. So if it is not a number, we're going to return 0. Oops. So then console log 42 4193 negative 42 negative that. So we've got everything narrowed down here. Now all we have to do is check to make sure that our number is not out of bounds. So return, let's see, if num is less than negative 2147483648. If it's less than that, we want to return this number, which is just 2 to the 31st. And then we're going to check if num is greater than this, so outside of the range of a 32-bit integer, we just want to return that number. Okay. Console log num, so it's got them all. That's outside of the range, obviously, so it's going to return 42, 4193, and negative 42, and that's it. So we'll just go here and return num. So that is the solution that I came up with. I think it works well. It's kind of a hack job if you are looking for these, but if you're looking for decimals at the end of this, then you would just use a regular expression. But for this instance, it made sense to use parse int because it's a tool that's available to us. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll post the link to this in my GitHub, so it's going to be there, and I'll keep uploading these videos. Like and subscribe, and leave a comment if you want me to examine anything else, or if you have any other ideas for algorithms that you'd like me to solve, let me know. Thanks.